Alright guys, thanks for tuning in to another video. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make some cool squirrel pelts using the egg tanning method. Here is a winter gray squirrel that I shot, and the fur is the best in the winter time, so I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to skin it and I'm going to try and get a nice pelt out of the squirrel. First of all, you just got to be careful because squirrels, you know, they're pretty small animals, so when you're cutting in these small little lines, these small little crevices, you just got to be aware and be careful with your knife. Just take it slow, take your time, because the fur is you know, the pelt is pretty small, so you don't want to mess it up. So just take your time, take it slow. But what I do is I usually just cut it like I skin a deer. So what I would do is I would just flip the squirrel over. I would just make a slit on the inside of the thigh here down to where the base of the tail meets. I'll make another slit along the thigh to where the tail meets here, and then I'll make a small little slit, and I'll start peeling the skin back all the way off of the squirrel. So I'll just show you guys how I do that and get this pelt on a board so that I can start drying. Once you get that going, then you can start peeling away at the skin. Just like that. If you get some meat on there, like that, on the skin, trim it off. That way you don't have to worry about too much fleshing later on, but just be careful so you don't cut into the pelt. Squirrel has been in the freezer and thawed, so it's gonna be tougher than a squirrel that you just shot. So just keep in mind that if you have a fresh squirrel, it'll be a lot easier. So a cold squirrel that you've been keeping in the fridge or the freezer, you're just gonna use a little bit more knife work like this. Otherwise, like I said, a fresh squirrel, or just let this thaw a little bit more, you can just pull it off and it'll be easier to skin. Once you start pulling back, just slowly take your time. Just start pulling the hide away from the body or the meat, and it'll start to look like this. Just start pulling it away like that. And then once you get to the tail, you want to start it off like this, make a little slit, and you want to just take the tail and you want to slowly work it out. You don't want the skin to rip, because it rips pretty easily, so you just got to take your time. So yeah, so that you have the whole tail, and you just slowly pull it out. There. Once you get to this point, it's just pretty easy. You just pull, and the whole pelt, the cape, will come off. You can either take a pair of game shears and snip off the foot, or take a knife and just snip it off. Then you just keep peeling back. All right, once you get to this point here towards the arms, you just gotta slowly work it around the arm and the chest area. Just keep pulling back. And then once you get it past the arm here, you'll get like this gap here. And you just put your finger in there and just pull the arm out. And now you start working the head. The head is gonna be a little bit tougher. The tissue here is pretty tough, so you just take your knife and slowly work around it. All right, so here's the pelt. You just flip it inside out again, and it is. Like I said, squirrels, they're not big animals, so you're not gonna get like a huge pelt, but you get something to keep. So here's the pelt. I'm just gonna flip it upside down, and I'm just gonna take a pair of scissors or a pair of game shears. I'm just gonna cut from where the chest is all the way up, down the middle. You can use your fillet knife if you want also, but this just makes I think a straighter line, I think. Now you've got your squirrel. Gonna tack it onto a board. Try and clean up some of these, some of the meat here, and we'll let it dry for a couple days. You also want to cut the tail part open because you don't want the tail to rot. Oh no, it broke. See how it's so fragile? It broke. But yeah, the tail is so fragile. It just snapped right there. So you gotta be careful with that. But yeah, you don't wanna do that. You wanna make sure that you just slowly cut. When I got to the end, I should have just kept cutting, but I took my blade through and messed up the tail, so. All right, now I'm just gonna take some tacks and I'm just gonna spread everything out as much as I can so that it will dry. All right, here is the pelt all tacked up onto a board. We'll let this sit for a couple days and then we'll give it a salt bath. Let this dry up a little bit. I probably could do a better job getting all this flesh off, but I don't have a fleshing board, so I'm just gonna try and let it dry and then put it in a salt bath and then try and scrape off all that stuff. But yeah, messed up on this tail here. So I've got that drying. We'll see if we can salvage the tail. All right, guys, quick update. It's been about 3 days since this hide has been drying in the house. And it's pretty stiff now. It's pretty hard. And I'm just gonna, today, I'm gonna take it off of the board. So once I throw it in that salt bath for a couple days, it should soften up everything as far as the flesh and the fat that's still on the hide here. And then once we do that, I'll tan it with egg, and we'll see what it turns out to be. All right, guys, it's been 2 days since the hides have been sitting here inside my salt bath. And all I did was fill up this bucket with about 2 gallons of water and about a cup of pickling salt. So today I'm going to rinse them out, and then I'm going to flesh them as best I can, and then I'm going to egg tan them. All right, guys, these are the 2 hides that I air dried, and I did the best that I could fleshing them. I just used a dull knife and this board here, and I fleshed it as best I could. So we're just gonna let this sit for a little bit so that the skin starts to dry up a little bit more. Right now it's still kind of sticky. All right, guys, it's been about 30 minutes and it's still kind of damp to the skin here. It's still kind of damp to the touch. It's not wet, but now is the time to throw your egg yolk on it. So I've got 2 egg yolks, and I'm just gonna spread the egg yolk all over the skin, and then we'll let it sit overnight and get back to it tomorrow. All right, guys, it's been about 3 days. I let these dry a little bit more because underneath the arms here were a little bit moist. So I lifted up the arms like this and let it dry another day. So about 3 days. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take these and give them a wash in a soap bath, get all the extra egg stuff off. And then we want it to kind of air dry and still be a little tacky, a little wet. And we'll start to stretch it out and see if we can get some pelts now finally. All right, guys, quick update. So this is what it looks like out of the wash. It's still a little wet and moist, and then it's kind of dark. But this part here, I started stretching it, and as you can see here, it's turning white. So the skin here, there's a whole bunch of fibers that interconnect to make the skin, and you need to start to stretch it so that the fibers kind of break apart, and it'll turn into leather and dry a lot quicker and better. So it's a longer process, lots of stretching and pulling and all that. It might take a day or two, but basically that's the process. You start to stretch out the skin. And then hopefully in a day or so, we will have ourselves a nice leathery squirrel pelt. So it's still a little bit wet, but once it's all said and done, I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, guys, it's been about an hour later, and the pelts have dried up quite a bit. This is going to be our final product. And so this is the underside. So I've been stretching it a whole bunch, and I've just been running it over a piece of wood, like a 2x4. Just, you know, running it over and over and over again on that 2x4. And I've still got some, I could have done a better job, I know, with fleshing because of all this stuff here. But yeah, if you look, it is basically leather now. And with the leather here, the more you work it, the softer it's gonna get. And maybe I might take some sandpaper and just sand all this stuff off and just get down to, you know, this white stuff here. But yeah, the more you work it, so every day for the next, you know, couple days, 2-3 days or so, I'll just keep stretching this out, keep throwing it over the 2x4, and hopefully it'll get super soft and get all this yellow stuff off, and then it'll be a super white pelt. But yeah, you can see here the arms. I just stuck the handle of a screwdriver through here a few times to stretch out the arms, and so they're dry too. Looks like a baseball leather, so baseball glove. Here we are. We got our 2 gray squirrel pelts. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you guys on the next one.